Number one, it's a very secretive program. The teacher signed a contract of not revealing this to parents, actually what's being taught. Nothing goes home. Some of the classes require, a lot of the classes, as I understand it, require projects. And in one of those, in 5 separate sessions, there's classes on Islam. And in that, they do an actual, they play out a trip to Mecca. There's another class where they are actually, part of the project is to design a socialist flag. And these are some of the issues that I have come to my attention through internet, through sources, whatever. And I'm concerned. Another thing that really concerns me, if we're altering our education program to the extent that we no longer believe in American exceptionalism, then I take some really strong objections to it. Amen. Amen.
You know, let me try to reassure you, the idea that a parent cannot come to Llano ISD and visit with the teacher or visit with that principal and get a look at the lessons that are being taught in that classroom is incorrect. Okay, I want to assure you that. There is an agreement that we have to sign, and because the material is copyrighted. And what we say is, we're not going to let you come up there and copy that material. Okay, so it's merely a copyright agreement. But if anybody in this school district wants to see what their children are exposed to in the classroom, then you're more than welcome to do that, and we'll make that available to you. We will not let you copy the test and take it with you, and we will not let you copy the material and take it with you. And we wouldn't let you copy a Glencoe textbook, biology textbook, and take it with you. That's all copyrighted material. The stuff about, again, I think I addressed this earlier. The stuff about the Muslim religion or any other religion. Let me read you very quickly, because I brought it with me. Let me read you what the state board says we have to teach. And it's not only the Muslim religion. Let me just take 1 second. Every course has what's known as state standards. That's what ensures that a biology course in Llano ISD and a biology course in Marble Falls, Barnett, or El Paso ought to be somewhere similar. These are some of the state standards for world history. And again, these are approved by the State Board of Education. Describe the historical origins, central ideas, and the spread of major religions and philosophical traditions, including Buddhism, Christianity, Confucianism, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, Sikhism, and the development of monotheism. World geography, one of them is describe and compare patterns of culture such as language, religion, land, use, education, customs that make specific regions of the world distinctive. Another one in world geography, describe major world religions including animism, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Judaism, Sikhism, and the spatial distribution. So basically, as I interpret this, we are to teach a number of the major religions, to teach about them. There is no proselytizing, okay? That'd be a violation of not only, that'd be a violation of federal law, because we are to remain neutral, neither advancing nor inhibiting religion in the public schools, and the reason for that is we are agents of the government. Now, there are probably lawyers in this room who could tell me a lot more about that. Remember, I'm just an educator. But what I'm here to tell you is that my staff does not believe that our students in Llano, as a result of the CSCOPE curriculum, are being proselytized in the teaching of these state standards. That's what I can tell you. Now, I can't tell you that that's not happening in some other place. But in Llano, my staff tells me it's not. And I have enough faith in these teachers out here. One of them, she's retired now. But I have enough faith in these teachers out here that if they felt that they were being de facto forced to do something like that, my principals my assistant superintendent, me, and ultimately this board would know it. I mean, that's about the best answer I can give you. I will also tell you this. As educators, we will arm wrestle over what we believe are the best ways to teach X, Y, and Z. There's a lot of professional discretion. So, and we don't always agree. I've seen high school teachers just narrowly go to the mat over which textbook we were going to order for the next year. Now, I'm sorry. So I don't know that I'm going to make you feel any better tonight if you believe that's the case. I'm just telling you what my staff's telling me. And I have faith in my staff.
Well, we had a textbook committee that spent laborious hours going through those textbooks. I don't see that happening with the CSCOPE curriculum. I know Region 13, our ESC and Region 13 are primarily responsible for putting together this curriculum. And then it was disseminated to the other 19 ESCs. And it has been accepted by 875 school districts in Texas. And I know that we put a lot of faith in the ESCs. But I'm not sure if that's probably where our faith should be. I think we need to go back to, and as far as I can find out, the SBOE has not been that enthusiastic about this program.
I don't know that the SBOE has been enthusiastic in one way or another about any curriculum. But I put a lot of faith in my staff members, and I put a lot of faith in this board and in me.
Bill, for you. I want to cover a little bit about what CSCOPE does. I've been on the board ever since it was implemented. I did something along with one of my fellow board members at that time. It's very unusual, I think, in a Texas school. Preston Mason and I were board members together during the implementation. Preston and I came over to Llano and spent one day, and we took one of the grades where we had the standardized test. And we went through the whole system. That's unusual because usually administrators do this. We went to the State Board of Education approved text, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, and we said, okay, for this grade, let's take item number 1 that's required, for the students to learn. Okay, let's see where the lesson is and how it's being taught on that item. And then what is the test question, an example of the test question that tests that. Then we went to number 2, and we went through the whole system for that grade that those students had. And what that did, what we found as a result of that was that what CSCOPE does, it tries to get you from that point A over to the end, and it is designed so that if a student is supposed to learn 50 things in that grade level, that you can monitor the progress of where you stand on learning those 50 things or teaching those 50 things throughout the year. That's probably the biggest benefit I'd say that we got out of it. What we found before is, before we put in CSCOPE is, you're supposed to teach the student 50 things. You get down to the last 6 weeks and they've mastered 10 of them and they've got 40 to go. And we were having problems. We put in CSCOPE because the system we had was not working. We were confronted with the fact that we were going to lose 24 of our seniors because they had not covered the required information, and we said, as a board, this has got to stop. We have got to try a better system. That's the best one we could find. Is it perfect? No. We're not going to have a perfect system. If a better one comes along, trust me, we'll throw CSCOPE out and get a better one. Right now, it's the best thing we can find.
A couple of points relative to communication from faculty to administration about CSCOPE. Is there a process where a teacher who feels uncomfortable with part of a subject or part of a curriculum can communicate that through principals to administration and have it addressed? And regarding fear and intimidation about talking about CSCOPE and the negative parts of it, are they fearful of job if they criticize it?
I want to make a comment before Dennis. They don't seem to have any problem calling me and telling me if they've got a problem.
Bill, you know, I think our teachers are more comfortable talking to the principals than they are me. A lot of people just don't want to go into the big guy's office. And you know, they don't want to tell the emperor that he has no clothes on or whatever. I understand that. Do all of our teachers like CSCOPE? Not no, but hell no. It's quite frankly. But at the end of the day, our choices are, we either have a system, and whether it's CSCOPE, Fred, Bill, or Bob's curriculum.
Sorry about that.
We either choose to have a system that is a structured, ordered way to teach what the SBOE says we have to teach in pre-K through 12. Or we choose to let the teacher decide. In 1982, who decided what we would have who decided the curriculum in the biology class at Llano High School? Anybody got any idea? Don't you say, Nancy. I did. I did. Now, my biology class may or may not have looked similar to the biology class in Marble Falls, Barnett, Lubbock, or anywhere else. I decided. But wait a minute, Bill. But the state, through a process, has decided what that biology class ought to look like. And this curriculum ensures that our biology teacher, whether it's Dennis Hill or Fred, Bill, or Bob, is teaching that. Do they all like it? No. But if we don't do that, then we have a curriculum. And I call it curriculum by crapshoot. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. And I'm going to tell you that the education of your children is too important to leave it to chance. Yes, Bill?
A couple of points. You mentioned CSCOPE, obviously. CSCOPE, as defined by those who created it, was a curriculum management system, not a curriculum.
Right.
It's marked into that. Okay? You all follow it, other school districts follow it. Point two, according to testimony before the Senate Education Committee, as I recall it, that content has no oversight other than by the CSCOPE people themselves. SBOE does not review it to make sure it follows the standards that you refer to. There's no control over who puts it in. The only control would be from the faculty who are using that material to be able to feedback either directly by push the talk to me button to CSCOPE, which may get ignored, or through their principal to you guys. That's part of what concerns a lot of people, is that there's no oversight to that. I believe the legislature is going to fix that, but that's where we are today.
Okay. And yes, that's correct. The oversight, CSCOPE is a vendor. They're a vendor. They're selling us this program. The other choice for us, as taxpayers and as educators, develop our own. From my perspective, since this is the best thing that we can find, it's much more cost effective and much better for our staff members out here. So to use a vendor to purchase this and then let them focus on what they do best, which is the actual delivery. But yes, Bill, they're a vendor, no doubt.
When we say there's no oversight, I think that's not exactly correct. Let's take one of the grades where we do test at the end of the year. If those teachers are not teaching what is in the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, which they have, which CSCOPE in effect almost forces them to do, admittedly. If they are not teaching that, when those kids take that test at the end of the year, the failure rate is going to be enormous and we're going to come down on them. So there is oversight to see that they do it, and it's called job security.
Can I switch gears for just a minute? I'm hearing you say that, okay, the State Board of Education has said we must do these things, and as school districts you have to follow those rules. And then we must test this many times. And as a retired teacher, I'm thinking, now wait a minute here. I know that each of those tests cost a tremendous amount. That money could actually be going to better instruction within our schools. So what can I do, sitting here listening to what you have to say? What is the best thing that I can do as a citizen to help my school district and limit some of these things? Okay.
He wants to hug you.
Bless you.
I think you understand that is, we cannot solve this problem in Llano. This has to be solved in Austin. We are given a set of rules that we are supposed to abide by. We try as best we know how to do it. There is not a single member of the Board of Trustees that would not change some of those rules if we had the choice. Because some of it really hampers us bad. I don't think anybody would want to get 15 tests that's on our Board of Trustees. It's just ludicrous. But if the state says you do it, we'll spend the money, and it's got to come out of somewhere, and you know where it is. It's all in salaries. If we're going to do it, somebody's got to go. I mean, that's it. That's the only alternative we've got.
My answer to you is vote.
Yes.
And talk to your representative and senator.
You bet. Okay. Thank you.
Can I make a suggestion?
Just a minute, Bill. One of our other members asked me to pass along a question. Y'all mentioned a roof that needs some expensive repairs. Are those buildings really old enough to warrant that kind of repairs? And if so, how did you get there from here?
When did they build that building? 45 years ago?
Is that old?
Not at our current junior high, which was the Llano High School building, and my understanding is they moved into it in 1971, January 71.
Just the old high school building?
The old high school building, yes, sir.
Well, I can speak from experience to that with Parks and Wildlife. When you put a roof on, you can tell when it needs to be replaced. It has a life, and when that life is over, it's over. So you need to budget when you put it on, when to take it off or when to replace it. That's a given. Dennis,
Right, just a second. We had an engineer look at the roofs on the high school and the junior high. He is not in the roofing business. He is an engineer who looks at it. He is not selling the school, nor will he sell or participate in anything that we do with respect to it. He says in the next 3 years, we got to fix a roof. I don't know a better way to do it than go about it that way.
I did maintenance for Park for 20 years, and when you put them on, you know when they're going to give out. And the legislature and Parks and Wildlife never address the same issues. This is rhetorical. It's kind of meant to end the questioning. Dennis, in 80... Well, this will end it because, Dennis, in 82, when you were setting the biology curriculum, and in 2003, when you took over the superintendency, how did it go so bad so quickly in a 20-year period? I mean, CSCOPE took over. I mean, when you took over the superintendency, how did it get so bad in that 20-year period? Is it because you took over the superintendency?
There are those out here that would tell you that.
That was a rhetorical question.
I'm glad it was.
You and I have discussed this at length.
We have, yes.
Okay, if I can get my head back on here. You said, from your comments, it sounds like there are many, whether they're teachers or administrators or parents or who, that do not like CSCOPE. And I'm not a parent of a child at school. I don't know anything about CSCOPE. And but you made a comment that it was our people in Washington who had to fix this. Austin, I think, that had to fix this, and it was their decisions that had us where we are. So I want to know, if they're supposed to fix it, what are we telling them? How are we getting a message to them? Do they know what the people think?
First, testing, state accountability, state assessments, state testing drive about everything we do right now in the public schools. I mean, it's just about everything. Now, a lot of people don't like CSCOPE. Those same people would probably not have liked Fred, Bill, or Bob's curriculum. Teaching, in 1982, teaching was a pretty autonomous thing.
They probably didn't like your curriculum either.
That probably so. But teaching was a very autonomous thing. They literally gave me a teacher's edition, gave me X number of biology books, and said, here's your room. It's not that way anymore because of testing. Anytime that you go from autonomy toward you must do X, Y, and Z, people are going to push back against that. That's understandable, folks. And a lot of this I don't like either when we get down to what we like and what we dislike. But what I dislike worse is our students failing the state assessments and not graduating. That's what I dislike worse. So sometimes we have to do some things that we'd rather not do in order to do what's best for our students.